I look paler than I actually am because I don't know how to adjust the exposure on this camera. You guys know that I suffer with chronic illnesses, but recently I just kind of came to this realization, I feel like, that as someone who has a chronic illness, I started to realize that a lot of people suffer with a lot of different things and they're invisible. I'm very aware of how invisible my chronic illness looks a lot of the time. Sometimes I do have my wheelchair and I do have my crutches, but then if I'm just like going to the gas station, I'm not always gonna take those, and I'll park in the handicap spot and I'll get out, and I'm very conscious of the fact that I don't look disabled. I don't know, because like people, they're not always gonna share their struggles like we do, like the people here on the YouTube. And I was talking with a friend who I hadn't seen in a couple years recently, and we were just kind of talking about this, that, updates in our lives, stuff like that, and I found out that he's had Crohn's disease for like a long time, and I've known him for like 3. And so, I don't know, he was this person that like poured love and knowledge and God into me while I was going through a bunch of hard times, but I never knew that he was going through that, and he didn't even know about my chronic illnesses. He doesn't really keep up on social media. He's a dad, he's got a wife and a kid, and so it was just also weird to have to tell someone for the first time in person that I was chronically ill, because I have been prepared and telling a lot of people like kind of what it is, because they've seen a post, they've seen a video, that kind of thing. But he was the first person where I actually had to tell that I was dealing with this, and that like kind of it's hard for the first time, and like see his face when he was like, oh my gosh, because he knew me when we were struggling to get a diagnosis, but not once I had. He didn't know that I had a diagnosis. He realized that everyone is struggling or suffering with something, and a lot of times it's invisible, and I just kind of realized that as someone who's aware of my own invisibility when it comes to my chronic illnesses or my disability, I rarely think about other people. Every day, like walking down the street, in the mall, or like in the pet store or whatever, I'm just a selfish human being who's thinking of how hard it is to deal with my chronic illnesses and my disability. I don't know, I'm just not even thinking that anybody else has to deal with something like that. And I feel awful. I advocate for people with invisible chronic illnesses because that's a large part of who I am. And yet, I'm going out and thinking when I am in a large public place, I'm the only one that has to deal with something like this, when everybody is struggling with something, whether it's a chronic illness, a loss of a loved one, or whatever. So yeah. Make sure y'all stay tuned for next week though. In the meantime, rejoice in the day and be glad in it. I will see you guys later. Bye.